Hey, Mbula Vinaka everyone. Nakabalevo for joining me today. Um, and a very happy International Women's Day, which is going to be on Saturday. But we know that, this week, which is Monday in New Zealand and in Fiji, and also on the other side of the dateline, there's many of us that are celebrating, this very, very special day, which is particularly focused on, I think, on the date, which is March the 8th. But we know that many of us, can be able to celebrate it for the whole week or the whole month of March. Yes, so again, a big mbuli vinaka to you all. Thank you so much for responding to my post as well as the poster that I shared. And today we'll be traveling to the beautiful island of Rotuma in Fiji. And so welcoming everybody that is joining in. And we have our sister Fesaitu Solomone, who has been on my program for a number of times, which is great because the work that she does in Aotearoa is something that we need to talk more about because there's a lot of interest, particularly with the revival of our languages. Yeah. So I hope you will enjoy this Talanoa session. And she's kicking off this very special week in which we are celebrating our amazing Fijian women and in general our Pacifica women. So because she's from Rotuma, thanks to Rako Pacifica, we will start with a beautiful song from Rako. Noaia mauri.
Ra'ota uma a Rotuma, Ra'ota uma a Rotuma, Nefu ewo, ne Pacifica. ia whenga ma, oki ia whenga ne o I ea whate, ela mane a e te, hente ela mane a mase. Tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la. Mayone chola elia, noa tofu e palanasta, oni akia ase afnaha, kuia he lava. Raota uma a Rotuma, nefu ewo, ne Pacifica.
Sarong vinaka din na
If you're unsure or
na Lordo said na Rako Pacifica, and also acknowledging Dr. Letila Mitchell, wherever she is connecting in right now. We want to congratulate her for the wonderful work that she has been doing with her group, Rako Pacifica. And again, that beautiful song that you've just heard, created by her and her team in Fiji. So, vinaka wakale Rotuma. And again, here we have the beautiful Fesaitu Solomone. As I've said before, she is currently the Chief Executive Officer for the Center for Pacific Languages in downtown Manukau. Her office is based at the Westville Mall. For those of you who know the beautiful city of Auckland, we have Manukau, which is very close to the airport in Auckland. So Fesaitu and I, our work takes us back many years ago at Fiji TV. And the reason why I invited her to be part of this lineup for the celebration of the International Women's Day is the admiration I have of her with the term resilience. And you will hear her story again today. And for many of you who may have just met her for the very first time today, we will welcome her and ask Itu to introduce herself to us. Mbula vinaka, Fesaitu.
Nisa mbula vinaka, noa mauri tēnei ngā tutua to koa, kia ora koutou. Warm Pacific greetings, and it's good to be back and to have this talanoa with you. I believe it's what a monumental time for us as women, as girls, but across not just here in Aotearoa, but across the globe as well. So yes, my name is Fesaitu Solomone. I come all the way from a very beautiful island paradise in Rotuma. If anyone doesn't know, then you're more than welcome to Google Rotuma. And to those who've been there, have experienced Rotuma, it's a beautiful way to reconnect again over and over if you decide to go back to Rotuma. But yeah, grew up on the island as you from a small island, grew up in the 80s and 90s before heading to Fiji. So yeah, come from a very small island indeed. But I believe it's that life that, as you see it, about resilience is where we're all heading. So yeah, beautiful.
So vinaka vale besar Fesaitu. And since we are celebrating this very special day, week, and month, celebrating women, I'm sure you will, remember, your mom and your sisters and your grandmother and all your relatives. And now thinking back to your time in Rotuma, what are some of your memories of growing up on that beautiful island?
Yeah, some very good memories. I believe it's one of those things growing up when you don't have much. Those are good memories of me growing up with our family. With there's about 8 of us, from our siblings, our parents, and then growing up with being fortunate. I would say not wealthy in terms of money, but we were wealthy in terms of collective, as a family, as a community, and as a church. And I think growing up for me, it's the fun bits that you enjoy life on the island just naturally. The swimming, collecting firewood, cooking, doing kuua with the father, learning skill sets from our mothers, our grandmothers, from weaving to everything to do with our culture and the language as well. Speaking the language, I think for me was a highlight that school was predominantly taught in both English, bilingual, in English and Rotuma and Whiang Rotuamta. So those for me are the highlights growing up, that the freedom to actually move around on the island, the free life without worry. And to me also the food. The food is also a highlight. When you grow up on the island, everything is fresh, plenty. Resource-wise, it's so much, very I bet at that time is we all look forward to going fishing and all that. So those are all skills, as you said, it's built a lot of resilience over the years in terms of learning life skills, but also the interaction with our communities, our families, and the foundation for me, it's the language and learning the cultural aspects from, as I said, weaving to music to listening to poetry sung and a language that my grandmother's used to is a unique Whiang Furta speaking, so that we don't know. So those are the highlights for me in terms of growing up on the island. And as you rightfully put again, resilience, those are things that you built from our families when you don't have money. It wasn't the priority for us, it's about living off the land. So those were a number of things that you can think of. And the fresh air, one thing that we take for granted living here, and the beautiful sights back home, living by the beach, and having fresh fruits and food. That's exactly what I'll always remember growing up on the island.
Vinaka vale besar Fesaitu for reminding us on where our life began, thinking of the humble beginnings. Now itu in terms of schooling, you in our previous interview you mentioned that you studied in Rotuma, you went to school there. Can you tell us the times of you going to school in Rotuma and the decision made by mom and dad for you to move to Fiji?
Yes, schooling, I think those some good highlights and some memories that I won't share much, but growing up on the island in primary school, attended Mutusa Primary from class 1 to 6. At that time when we were growing up, we reaching class 6, I recall, he's based in Dubai now. He was our master, Master Manoe. We used to study under the trees because the school was going through renovation. And so those are things that we were growing up, cleaning the compound, taking sand to almost to do all the the work for the school, you helping out as you're studying as well. So those are things growing up, I'm really fortunate to go through it. Some people call it hard life because you're supposed to go to school and learn. And also you get a hiding from the teachers. At that time, punishment is normal for us. If you don't do well and if you disobey, then that's what you go through. It's the life back then and studying at primary. Um, you know, Studying under the trees was something, off-site, not in a classroom, and something that we appreciated. Sports was all done. You have to go training with no shoes, on the beach, on the running on the roadside. So those are things that, you grew up with. That's how it is. You don't have those fancy shoes, no fancy clothes. And we remember that time our grandmother used to sew us on our sports uniform, it's rumbas. So you have to wear that in, colors of your school. So, those are things that we grew up. Secondary school, straight after class six, Rotuma High School was the only secondary school. And so I attended Form 1 to Form 4. That was in early 1990s. So after finishing, and our parents has always been big on education, especially my mum and my father, who dropped out at class 2 or 3, and then went to work at the gold mine in Votokola. And so my mum is a very intelligent woman, very smart. However, couldn't continue education because she had to drop out of school because there's nobody in Fiji for her to go. Affordability is very limited at those days. So it's the opportunity with my two elder sisters living in Fiji, Akata and Vamarosi, that I was able to, with their husbands, was able to have the opportunity to leave Form 4 in Rotuma High School and continue the journey. And I was the only one from our family at that time that were able to manage to get through to Fiji. So the decision is very much on education that, as we all know, we've been in school growing up. Our parents emphasize not just the importance of education, but the importance of making something out of what they couldn't. And so that was the push for me, is remembering the importance of making that journey to continue studies in Dudley High School from Form 5 to Form 7. So I was very fortunate and lucky to have Mrs. Emily Fachoki at that time as the deputy principal for Dudley High School. And it's a huge journey, a huge sacrifice to move from way home to continue on the last 3 years. So that's my journey in terms of education and moving to Fiji to finish off high school. But the idea was for me, the only one that would successfully reach high school at Form 7 was to look after my parents, my family, put my 3 younger brothers, who was the youngest out of all of us, to pay for their education. So that's the whole reason behind all of moving, and my parents' hope for one of us to successfully make it out there.
Vinaka, for sharing that. And it's amazing how you kind of were living the dream of your mom. When she was not able to, come to Fiji, but you were able to be in Fiji because of your two sisters. So it's amazing, yeah, how the family support was there for you. And also I was thinking about, when you left Dudley, to further your education, and then you ended up at Fiji TV, again coming back to choosing your career, to go for schooling or to go for work, because you have to support your family. So maybe just kind of briefly share just the decision making that you have to make as a young girl. Here we're talking about International Women's Day, and look at where you are now as the Chief Executive Officer for Center for Pacific Languages in New Zealand. And thinking back to Rotuma High and thinking back to Dudley, what was the decision you made before you joined Fiji TV?
It's a very tough one, one that, I don't regret. It's because family always comes first for us, specific people. And as women, we know that we are if you reach that stage, work at that time in the 1990s, it was very important to get a job to help our families, especially in the situation that we're in. And I really wanted, I was qualified to enter USP on the foundation program, and was have put my application through to scholarships, Fijian Affairs Board scholarships at that time. And it was a big decision when to be told by um, my siblings that, priority is for me to work and help my parents, and to help my family back home. So 96 is when I started. I finished in 95 at Dudley, Form 7, and then I started, at back of my mind, I really wanted to go to university. But that dream, as I shared before, never died with me. I kept it alive for years. It was a tough decision because I felt that if I was just going to go for another 2 years to study, even on a scholarship, it would be bigger dream for me. But, God has his plans and purpose. And I guess I trusted that, this is the best decision. His family comes first. So yeah, applied for work, started applying for jobs. And so the routine was always every morning when we were staying at in Vatuanga, near Marceline Primary, my routine is to always go first thing in the morning, just to get the papers and to look at the vacancy section to look for jobs that I can apply. So it's a interesting process in terms of the pressure from ensuring that I get a job in 1996. As soon as the results came out around Jan, Feb, the job hunting just went. And so it was an interesting journey in terms of, to your point, the resilience is, we don't have much money as a family. And so my sister had to sacrifice. So looking for a job, applying, I had to write numerous letters and walk-ins, doing walk-ins across from Vatuanga, if you know Fiji, walking from Marceline Primary School where we live at Patiki Street, all the way to cross over to Lodala Beach, where used to be the Lee's factory, and then started the journey of stopping into every shop and supermarket along the way, right from there to Nambua, going all the way to Samambula. That's walking in the hot sun, writing my letters to and putting my exam results, just putting it into the application letters for a job, just walking along that way in the hot sun, and talking to organizations. Even, I recall very well and still today, speaking to the Samambula pharmacy. If people know, back in those days, the owner said to me, look, you're better off with your marks in Form 7, you're better off working in an office rather than standing here at the pharmacy. You will get something. And so that journey, the bus fare wasn't much, so had to catch from right in Samambula where FIT used to be before, caught the bus there so I could reach the bus station and start again from the city, all the way to drop off a letter to Fiji TV as the last place at Gorrie Street. That time TV was quite new. 95 was end of 95 is when TV started, Masonic Hall. And TV was just starting, and the app for a presentation. But Lee's factory was the two that I went first, was the Lee's factory in Lodala, and then Fiji TV was my last letter to drop in terms of a job application. But doing or even just begging for a job along the way, and that journey I still remember till this date. And then that last job that the first one that I dropped my application and the last one I dropped, both came back for an interview. And both, they've the accountant job as a junior accountant, as a trainee presentation director for Fiji TV at that time. Big decision, but it was a decision where I thought media was quite new at that time. And thinking about, and I think the other thing that I did well was to pray on it. Which one will be a junior accountant at Lee's factory with a car that I couldn't drive, and a better pay than Fiji TV with a presentation director role. And I decided after the weekend on the Monday, when I got the call, was to choose to take on the Fiji TV role. And there was March, started in May in 1996 at TV. But it was studies as education was always at the back of my mind. And that didn't happen till 20 years after, from 96 to 2016, migrating here to New Zealand. Was the opportunity for me to tap in. And after looking after my parents, paying for everything for my dad with the support of my siblings for surgery, that's when I decided to invest in myself. And that was education was a pathway that I wanted to do with the University of Auckland. Yeah, so big decisions. And then migrated in 2006 here to New Zealand.
Nakapakalibu ito. Wow. Again, the word resilience, yeah? For those of you who are watching, thank you for joining Fesaitu and I as we kickstarting the International Women's Day Talano session this week. And Fesaitu just sharing with us the struggles that she had to go through after leaving the island of Rotuma and finding her feet, so to speak, in Suva, in Fiji, and eventually finding employment at Fiji TV. Yeah, vinakabakalevu itu for sharing those journey, and I could just picture you walking on that road on a very hot sun. Oh my goodness. I wish I was driving past so I can give you a ride.
Yes, that's the life. I think to your point, going back home, that's what we're taught. We have to walk long distance, there's no car. You either ride a horse or you just walk. And so walking was almost like a hobby growing up. Everywhere we go to church or to the next village or during fire season, that's the time we walk. Walking early hours of the morning, walking late nights. Yeah, so I think those are all the things that I probably built myself and serving my family, my grandmothers especially, my two grandmothers who, one particular who my dad's mum who brought me up, was very much had to do all her chores, walk to the post office to get her money, go to the shop to buy her groceries and cigarettes. So it's been built in, and that's I think to your point, resilience was a key component of how much I've gone through that whole journey back in the island to actually be able to go through it in Fiji as well, and also in New Zealand.
Yeah, Sarah. And you made a really good point. How many siblings do you have, Itu?
There's 8 of us. There's 4 girls. I'm the youngest of our girls, and 4 brothers. Yeah,
And
fifth
then
in the family.
fifth in the fifth, so you're right in the middle, eh?
Yep.
I was just thinking, the choice that was made by your siblings, for you to be the one to look after your parents. What was going on in your mind as a young girl at that time, that the responsibility was now on you to be the one to serve your family?
Yeah, well, it's a huge responsibility, and I guess my 2 elder sister has always supported, from a financial perspective, and their hope is that because I was young, I could look after my parents. Look, sometimes you don't do the best, but you try your best to provide financially, and I think that's where I've always never dreamt of even coming internationally, but the choices is as you mentioned, it's not easy, and when you're given that huge responsibility, one that I carried very deeply, and still today, I'm really proud to, my mom passed away um, just before election ended in 2023 here in Aotearoa. So that was the highlight for me. Is my father passed away when I entered university, and he knew that there was something that I wanted to do is to continue my education. And my mom, I was proud that before she passed on, she knew that I was standing for elections. She didn't know that I was to get a CEO role after that, but I did stood. She was fully aware when I went to see her, get her blessing for me to stand on the general elections for New Zealand here. And so those are the things for me is decisions are made, but I believe that committing those decisions, praying on it, is a huge part for me to actually make those decisions not by myself, but praying that what is the best choice, what comes first, always putting our families first. And, I'm reaping the benefit of that today with parents both gone, still looking out for our families. But I trust, that there's a purpose why we're here, why we got good jobs, why we become this responsibilities is set on us. And that's what I truly believe is, having a purpose and always making our families, supporting our families, especially our parents, is a key area that I'll never regret, because everything, our blessing comes from the way we take care of them and our families. Yeah.
So vinaka vale besar itu, and that's something that I always remember with you. You know how you always look after your parents, and I think that's a lesson for all of us, for our listeners. If you still have your parents still alive, you give your best to them, because they were there for you. And I think that's something that I witnessed with how Fesaitu was always, giving back to her parents, and on that, to thank you. And I'm sure your family that are listening in too, all of us will learn. Yeah, that's really, really important. And for me personally, seeing you being the CEO for the Center for Pacific Languages, I'm not surprised because of all that training, yeah, from Rotuma and coming over to Fiji, and the humility you have to be there for your family. Just want to go back again, when you got your results from Dudley and deciding to find work rather than going to USP, which you would have done. And then fast forward to New Zealand, that you were able to do your MBA. How did it feel for you to be able to fulfill that dream?
It's overwhelming at first. I think for me, it wasn't the completing it, it was the opportunity to actually be accepted into the university in the first place. And acknowledge, Sky TV for the opportunity to come here to New Zealand, supposed to be on a contract for 1 year to run a project with international people that were hired in 2006. But the opportunity was given for an open door for me to, if I wanted to live here in New Zealand, and I have to take my hat off. They know who they are in the space when I came to interview here in New Zealand. But it was that opportunity, to your point, that moving here and the journey of coming to New Zealand, not just the education side, but the workplace. It's a huge decision, that feeling that I was ready to commit to going in, and affordability as well. The school fees is New Zealand dollars. It's almost around 50,000. Today will probably be over just the fees on its own for university, for the MBA pathway. But it was an investment well worth to get me to where I am. And it's not just the investment, but the decision to be accepted, because I didn't have, many of them had undergrad or postgrad, and they were just coming to do this as a professional. And so this is a space where a lot of our professionals do go back and revisit in terms of career and building to go to the next level. And that's what I wanted, to take it to the next level. Where could I go from going back into uni and paying for my own education? It's not cheap, but it is well worth it. So it's a lot of, again, a lot of decision of praying. It took me like 6 months to finally find the right university and a program that well suited while working full time, and also studying part time and full time at the same time. So yeah, it's a huge decision. But I think, again, coming back to your resilience, when I came here to New Zealand, when you don't have much and you don't know the place, it's quite overwhelming. But it's also a journey that, walking to work without a car for 6 months, again, doing the same routine back in Fiji, over 13 kilometers to work, walk to work or jog to work when I came. And it was building, to your point, humble beginnings. It's always going back to where we all start. We don't grow up with money. We don't grow up with, good connections, but we started from the ground up. And so that's the decision to invest in myself, was particularly where do I go next? Because working in the media for over 20 years, I wanted to do something completely different, and to be able to lift from where I am, that experience, and move on to the next. And to be honest, I have to acknowledge the break came through not just our team, but the current CEO for Sky TV, who gave me that break for the Pacific, and I'm really proud of that. But this learning in terms of the center all came at the time when you gave me a break with Tamaki Painga here at the Auckland Memorial Museum when we started, and our communities, and everybody who has been in that space who particularly supported the work that I do. And so university, to your point, yes, it's great to finish it, but it is such a huge feeling. But it was the feeling of getting in as a Pacific woman to be able to finish the program, even though it's not easy working and studying full time, but it's a journey that I will never regret. Yeah.
Vinaka, vinaka pala besar itu, and I know many of our listeners there will be so inspired by your story. You know, even now you're just sharing about, having a scholarship and being a private student. Yeah, working part time, and in this case, having the opportunity to leave a full time job to study full time. So a huge, very huge decisions, but look at where you are right now. Yeah, that's a big lesson for many of us. Being a woman entering an MBA program at the University of Auckland, the top university in Aotearoa, and you're able to, start and completed it. Yeah, so congratulations on that. Now you are at the Center for Pacific Languages, and look at the backdrop that you have there. Looks so beautiful, and now you are not just a staff of the Center for Pacific Languages, because as you were a tutor for Rotuma languages, for the Rotuma language, but now you are the Chief Executive Officer. Now, would you like just to share to our listeners, you being selected to be the CEO and being a woman, a Rotuma woman, and a Pacific woman? Tell us how you ended up to where you are now.
Naka, Dr. Tarisi. I just wanted to probably just point out that I actually worked full time and started with part time and then ended with full time studies. So I didn't leave my work. I was actually studying and working at the same time. Just to where I am today, very thankful to a lot of people, like I mentioned about the journey with you in the language space and the encouragement. Because of when I came here to Aotearoa, I've always wanted to recognize the language and culture for our Rotuman community is one that I saw, and the work that they've already started as part of the New Zealand Rotuma Fellowship was monumental as well with our elders and our leaders, and also acknowledging Hunda Rosarina, who passed away as well last year. These are all people that are part of those foundations here for language. Now, my journey, as you mentioned, I started off 2016, the same year that when I started teaching, I was also through to the university. So I was doing three things, working part-time teaching, working at Sky TV, and also studying as well. So the journey in terms of to be selected to be the CEO for the Center for Pacific Languages, I was standing for general elections in 2023. And then when the job came up, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. There were offers and interest in other CE roles for me to undertake and to put my name forward. But I decided to go after this one, particularly because I wanted to make sure that our languages continue to, not just for Rotuma, Feang Rutomta, but also for Vosa Vakaviti, and all of our Pacific languages, because there's surely working with the Ministry for Pacific's People, you recognize that the data and the statistics for our languages are getting to that stage where it's in a dangerous pathway. And so hence the reason my interest in the center was to continue the work that I was doing, but also to take the leadership role at the helm. You are able to effect change and change the direction of where you want the center to go. And so it was such an intense period campaigning and also going through interviews, which is because it's done through an external, you had to go through the whole process, panels with the board, presentations. And so my last interview with the board just before the elections wrapped up to announce, which party was going to take, that week was really intense for me. It was a lot of pressure and stress to prepare and to, you don't know where it's going to go. But where do I go from there? And it was faith and prayers that, if this is meant for me, then I'm going to take it wholeheartedly. And so I'm glad that after that intense, robust interview, as soon as it closed, the next week, they were able to come back to me on my final interview, and the answer was yes. They would want to appoint me as the new CEO. I mean, for me, it's not just about it's a title, but for me, I was only looking from the lens that this is an opportunity to make change and to be a stronger advocate for our Pacifica communities, especially knowing that there's a change in government, and also the understanding that our people don't really know the impact of our languages, especially our realm languages, Niue, Tokelau, and Cook Island, but also other languages, including Rotuma and Tuvalu, are part of the UN list, and our languages that we need to work now to try and save in the years to come. And so that's where how it ended up being selected in October, end of October, and then I started the role in November on the 13th, 2023. And it's only just a year in the role, but there's a lot happening, traveling to the regions to make those connections in alignment with language and culture, in teaching, but also what are other opportunities that we can work collaboratively across, not just in the Pacific regions, within Aotearoa and across the globe as well.
So vinaka vinaka Itu, and we're saying hello here to one of your staff at Fiji TV, Bolivinaka Elizabeth Edwards. Bolivinaka Elizabeth for reminding Itu that you were her team leader at Fiji TV. Yeah? So what a small world. Vinaka Valley of Elizabeth, Bolivinaka to everybody. Waisake Vuki, Olivia Chione, and to all our brothers and sisters from Rotuma also watching this Talanoa session. We just want to acknowledge you all. Vinaka Valley of Itu for highlighting the point of your role as a teacher. But also one thing that comes through very quickly for me is looking at your leadership skills, which I think the board must have seen in you. And also, I love the very important point that you mentioned, that you grabbed the opportunity. And that's something that we are learning today. So, what would be your advice to young girls watching our Talanoa right now or later on when they watch our video, in terms of opportunities that comes in front of them, especially when it comes to decision making? Itu.
Yes, Vinaka. I believe, and I think this is my only advice, is when the opportunities are presented, always weigh it up, but pray on it. I think that's the main thing. Recognizing not just your ability, but why is it been presented to you, is knowing what's your real purpose in whatever's presented to you. You have to recognize that roles shouldn't be taken, because one of the things that I want to highlight and my encouragement is never take roles based on money. Take roles based on your passion, because if you work on your passion and you come across as someone who really true to what your calling is, then it's easier. Money, as I say to my team, I say to everybody, money will always come. Similar to the decisions I've made in the beginning, it was never about money, which role is pays higher. It's about passion. Love media. Media took me to New Zealand. I love language. Language took me to where I am today. And that's the foundation that you have to be built. Be true to your values. What are your real values when you come through a role? Not just take it because it's got a higher six-figure salary. As I see it to many, I didn't choose this role because if I was to take the office that was offered during the elections to me while campaigning and running for general elections in Aotearoa, it's because I'm choosing my passion. It's not about the money, but choosing what is good that I will enjoy and I know I'm going to do a good job. It's about leaving your legacy and your mark on the things that you choose, on the roles. It's the roles, the people that you're going to come across, and always be humble. I never saw this as a title. I saw this as an opportunity to be leading an organization that is fighting for the survival and the revitalization of our languages. And as you know, I could go on and on about the work and to give a landscape of where we at across the world. We are not in the top. And if you're thinking of English, Hindi, Spanish, Mandarin, and French, they are the top languages in the world today. Where's our Pacifica languages? So This is important, as I shared, that this is my advice to anyone, not just our girls, but our women. Find your voice, but choose with humility. Choose because you're passionate about what the role is. Never choose because of money, because money will never make us happy. And that's why I'm finding that I'm loving the work, I'm loving the connections, and that's where you'll find fulfillment and purpose in whatever you do.
Amen. Oh my goodness, Itu, that is so beautiful. I love those statements that you've made, that you love media, you love languages, and if I'll add one more, that you love people. And I think that really added to your interest, to stand for elections. And that was something that I really admired from afar. I remember when you were telling me that you're going to stand up for election, and I was like, look at that girl over there. That's a girl that walks to work for so many miles in Auckland. She walked around Samambula Nambua, looking for work. And look at her now. So we are just so proud of you, Itu. It's just amazing that your story today, I'm sure, will touch someone's life, and particularly our young girls and our women that are listening, to us tonight, especially, focusing on International Women's Day. And now, in terms of the current work that you do, now that you're at the Center for Pacific Languages, and thinking back to Rotuma. So taking you back to Rotuma and your fluency in speaking the Rotuman language, and now you at the Center for Pacific Languages in New Zealand, what role you saw there played by your mom and your grandmothers and your sisters to make you what you are now?
Naka, Dr. Tarisi. The foundation of language, I would start with. Our grandmothers, and it's particularly my father, not just I highlight my father because my father is both, can be a mother and a father as well, and so is my mom. It's the foundation of language, that the journey of why, through church and the emphasis for us and our grandmothers to teach us those things, the cultural aspects, learn about the language, the wider community that been part of that, learning the music, the dance. They have been foundational to where I am because I've never forgotten that. And I believe, in terms of why where I am today is because of the teaching of where I come from. And that starts from my grandmother's has always been about, make sure you learn this, go and do this. The pandanus, the harvesting, the synod, putting it into salt water, and I was sharing it with somebody. That's children, we were taught all of this, but also the critical thinking that we were taught at a very young age. My parents allowed us to, at the same time, still speak our mind as children, but also they are accepting in the way that not many families, parents or the father or the mom always has a say, and the children have no say. Our parents have allowed it that opportunity to have the critical thinking, but also to contribute to our family. If we don't like something, I always tell my parents, I acknowledge in a very respectful way, but I believe that maybe you should do this and say this to us as children. So I think that open line of communication is what brought me, the humility and service from, my mom, the teaching of just being yourself, just staying, in terms of not going into other people's home, the focus on what is important, family. We don't have we don't have the perfect family. But I think the teaching of my mom is, as we know, it's society, matriarchal leadership is what led to where we are. Men can lead, my father became a sub-chief, but my mom always has a say, how does the family work? But yeah, we all families, as we say, have got issues. So is everywhere we go in organizations, but leading with humility, is what I've learned. That's the connection from my grandmothers. Very firm, very stern, but also very kind when it comes to service. And I think that's where I've learned the opportunity to serve with humility. We don't brag about who we are, but we just know that we are committed to serving the community, our families first and foremost. I always start and telling people everything starts from the home. That's why we've got not a perfect home, but a beautiful home that our families, our parents, our grandparents made it feel like we're part of it all the time. Yeah.
So, wow, man, thank you so much, for sharing those words of wisdom. We have so many beautiful comments being shared by those of our friends who are listening in, and I think the concept of resilience is something that we see in you, and we can see a very bright future in front of you, particularly with your work with the Center for Pacific Languages. And I know we have some of your students that are watching as well. And to bring our Talanoa to an end, I will pass it back to you for any other, comments or words of advice or other gems that you would like to share to bring our Talanoa to a close. So this is just wonderful. I'm taking a lot of notes from you.
Yes, vinaka with Dr. Tarisi for the opportunity. And I think I just want to wrap up this evening about for women, especially focusing on International Women Day that's coming up on 8th of August. But the importance of, for me, it's a foundation from where we work at the Center for Pacific Languages, for us to never forget our identity, where we come from. Our language, our culture should be first and foremost, because that's who we are when we come into contact with people. Be proud of who we are. Never be ashamed of where we are. And as women, we have to make those tough decisions. We have to make those tough calls. Be brave, take up, every opportunity, find your voice. And I think that's what I want to say. Finding your voice in a space that it can be challenging, but always remain humble. And just to wrap it up, to encourage all of our young people, be strong and build a strong network of good people to surround you. That's my advice. Never forget who you are and continue the journey. Be persistent, be perseverance in everything you do. But in all, make sure that everything shines with humility. And that's where I want all of our women and our young girls to go out there, grab every opportunity, find your passion, find your center of your universe, which is you, finding who you are in a space that it's challenging today, but always never forget where you come from. Always the humble beginnings. Your identity, your language, and your culture should never be forgotten in the vast world that we're in. So that's my quick feedback and my advice to everyone, especially our women. Education is one way, but your passion should always be what you should be striving for, to make sure that you do that. So wishing everyone the best, and to all of our viewers and listeners, for Yekse Hanisid, Vinaka Vakalevo.
Vinaka, Vinaka Vakalevu, Fesaitu, for spending this hour with us. Such an honor to, have this talano with you and for you to share your journey, going back to Rotuma, coming over to Fiji, and then now living and enjoying this wonderful life that you have now in Aotearoa. So from all of us, your beautiful family here, on the Talano with Dr. T program, we send our laloma to you and your family at the Center for Pacific Languages, also to Moana and the family, and wish you all the best. And I hope to touch base with you again, maybe for the Rotuma Language Week.
Vinaka Vakalevo, for Yekse.
Dinaka, Modemanda,
Mode manda, lolo mayani.
Dinaka. Yes, vinaka vakalevu to Fesaitu Solomone. We've been so blessed to have her join us today to kickstart our International Women's Day celebration for this week. Because we all know that the day is actually celebrated on Saturday, the 8th of March. But with my program for Talanoa with Dr. T, we decided to have these Talanoa sessions leading up to the day on Saturday. So today is Rotuma. We are so thankful that Fesaitu was able to join us, even though she's got such a very busy schedule. But we're so happy that she was able to be here with us. So she is the Chief Executive Officer for the Center for Pacific Languages in Manukau, Auckland. So if you are planning to learn any Pacific language, please contact the Center for Pacific Languages website. They're also on Facebook, and reach out to them. Many of the classes that they offer through the center, they are free if you are a resident of New Zealand. So please take the opportunity to fulfill any dreams that you may have for learning any of the Pacific languages. So I'm just so happy that we're able to be here together to be able to talano with Fesaitu and for her to share her story from the beautiful Rotuma Island and her history of studying at the Dudley High School in Fiji, and also the time that she spent at Fiji TV. Then she moved to Sky Pacific, which enabled her to come across to New Zealand. So it's wonderful that her story really reminded us the opportunities that come our way. Grab them, because sometimes those opportunities only come once. Yeah. So vinaka makaleo Fesaitu, such a wonderful time to spend with you. So for this week, tomorrow we have Dr. Francis Koya Vakauta, who will be joining me at 8 p.m. Fiji time. And then on the following day, we will have Amele Tarakinikini, who will be joining us from the beautiful city of New York. And then we will travel to the island of Niue. We have Mere Satakala, who will be joining us from Niue. And then after that, we will have Baka Books. We will have the team of Baka Books. They have their bookstore at McGregor Road in Suva. So we'll have Akanisi, Nabalarua Vakawale Tambua, and Samantha Magic, who will be joining us as well to talk about their vision for setting up this beautiful, cozy, amazing center called Baka Books. So don't miss out. I will put up the poster as well. And then on Saturday, we will have the Vengia project team, who will be joining us from New Zealand and Australia. So don't miss that. They will be joining us on Saturday. So whole of this week, we will have a speaker for each day. So we're so blessed that many of these women agreed to my humble request for them to join me on my platform. So from me here in the United States, it's 12 midnight on Sunday evening, Monday morning, bidding you goodbye. Vinaka Vakaleo for joining me in Fesaitu, and now we hope to see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock Fiji time. Vinaka, Modimanda.